let them come into the show. What are you thinking
You're
about?
funny.
No, you can't say stuff like that.
You're funny. You're a naughty man. That's what.
I am not. I am a little angel.
Yeah. I didn't mean to laugh quite that hard. I'm a little angel. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so
I can
bright, my
even
mama
tell.
called me son.
I can, I I can even see in little Jeffrey's face when you put an older picture that you were a little scamp.
I could be a handful. Let's just leave it at that.
A
If
handful.
you look at the pictures of my grandson, Jude,
Yes.
we look very similar with the same age. There's a picture I posted yesterday on Facebook. Had my dad holding me, and if you zoom in, it looks a lot like Jude. I was just older
Oh,
in that picture than Jude is. Jude's about to be 2. So,
well, in that
hi
picture,
everybody.
that
glad glad
picture
y'all
of
could get here. Hi, hi,
they just
Teresa.
drop into the middle of the conversation. We just keep going.
we try to catch everybody up the best we can.
The best we're allowed to, really. There's Teresa. Teresa's my 2 favorite people. Thank
Teresa, it's
you.
time to raise that bar. We do appreciate you, though.
Oh, and finally a
It's
blue
got,
shirt. Who wasn't wearing a blue shirt? I think it was you. I'm usually in theme here.
I started off in a black shirt. They don't know this. I started off in a black shirt, and we looked online at the green room. I don't like that. I said, I'll be right back. And I went to my room and changed shirts. I have my blue on.
Oh no. Oh no. I can't even believe I don't have
That's
that
it.
on.
That's it.
You didn't. You didn't. Yeah. Oh, I got to get on a
Uh,
crusade to get more of those out, by the way. We got 2 more Amazon reviews.
I saw
Yay.
that. Yeah. Matter of
Yes.
fact,
I saw
I
that you
shared it.
posted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was awesome. Grant and Dawn did
Right.
it. So we're up to 52 out
52
of the 100.
reviews, not as many. I mean, 52 ratings, not quite as many reviews.
Oh, okay.
But that's still we're chugging along.
Yeah, yes, yes. Yeah, we got way more than we did January and February.
That's true.
So I'm going to post that again because that's awesome. Did
We
you
got
like my thing today?
okay.
Peekaboo?
Say it again.
Peekaboo?
Oh, yeah, I did. I thought that was funny. And even Bob said that was hilarious.
Everything's blue over here in Blueville, Blue Land.
From what you said, your pillowcases, your sheets, it's all blue now.
Oh, peekaboo.
Well, I wonder why mine isn't gray. Well, my hair is gray, but my pillowcase doesn't turn gray. My sheets don't turn gray. I'm confused. I don't know why this works
Your
that way.
cheeks?
Did I say cheeks? Did
No, you said something else. I heard cheeks. So what can I say?
Get your mind out of the gutter.
I'm taking a stroll down Smut Lane with all my friends. It's working for me.
It's
See,
working for you.
This is working for me. We were talking earlier. I was doing that send out cards Zoom, and we were talking. I don't even know how we got on this topic. It was something I don't even remember now, but we were talking how you and I have different presentation styles, except that you pointed out that I'm more like you than I'm thinking because you plan everything out and you practice and you have it written out. I'm thinking I'm all ad lib, but you proved to me that was not true because when you're watching me do a presentation that you've heard me do a bunch of times,
Right.
you know what I'm going to say next, and I see your lips make the words that I'm going to say. So it's not as ad lib as I'm thinking.
Well, I don't. When I'm on stage and I'm doing a keynote, my keynote is pretty close to the same wording all the time, but not because necessarily I've scripted it all out, although I did at one point just so I could kind of get a flow to it. It's because I've done it so often, and even when I'm playing with it, even if I'm improvising, it's still coming around to the same things. And
We're the same that way then.
yeah, I like, and what I always taught salespeople was a structured improvisation. There are certain key things you need to make sure that you do. You need to have a period of discovery where you're asking questions, because the truth is, in any sales presentation, if you'll ask the right questions, your prospect will say what your prospect needs to hear. In a business-to-business sales environment, if a salesperson goes in and says, "Okay, we have this, you need this, we have this, you need this," it's terrible. They may make some sales because if you have enough activity, you'll still make some sales.
You
But it's
better let the
terrible.
customer sell themselves because they'll talk themselves right into it if you listen, if you just sit there.
Yeah, if you ask the right questions, they will. It gets them to verbalizing things, and they'll say exactly the things that they need to hear. And why that's so important is because when you're in a sales presentation, the truth is that you're a salesperson. So oddly enough, your prospect doesn't assume that you're telling the truth all the time. I don't know why that is. Salespeople, not anybody that would be involved around you or I, but there have been salespeople over the years that earned that reputation of being a little bit wrong. And so if you say it as a salesperson, it's suspect. But if you can ask the right questions and your prospect says it comes out of their mouth, it's not suspect, it's gospel. It's the truth.
They said it, yeah.
And so what I used to teach people is you learn to ask the right questions so that the prospect will say what the prospect needs to hear. And then you can say, well, you said you want to do this. We can help you do that. And then you can fill that need. But I would teach a structured improvisation that included a period of asking questions, of discovery. Once you had two or three or four needs, then you had there was a way that I would teach them how to link back and just tell the prospect what they said. And then when it came to the time where I hate the word sales presentation. You know how Bob hates the term pitch. I hate the term sales presentation because even though that's industry standard terminology, the word presentation gets too many new salespeople to talking too much. They want to show you what they have. They want to tell you about their company and how great they are and all that. The truth is your prospect doesn't give a rat's rear end about your company.
I can swear.
Well, you're good at it. But when you have a skill, what were we talking about earlier? When you have a skill, you have to use it. But
Hey, green room.
But I don't like the first sales presentation because it gives new people the wrong idea. They should be asking way more questions and talking way less than they normally do. But there does come a point where you're making your recommendations, and so that's a recommendation phase. And so that but I would teach a structured improvisation inside that.
Can you tell me why? And this is probably bad of me, but I somehow feel like it's a badge of honor to be able to improvise, and I feel less capable if I think that I'm planning it out too much. And that's not and most people don't feel that way. They feel like if you're smart enough to plan it out and you practice it, then you're good at what you're gonna do. And me, I feel like I don't know why. It's counterintuitive that I feel like if I really knew my stuff, I would be able to stand and deliver at any moment, just stand and deliver. And I've had to do it and done it. And I'm happy that I'm able to do that because I didn't know I was speaking someplace and they actually dragged me up and had me go like 20 minutes. And I was able to just do that because I know my material enough that I could do that, or material enough. You know what I mean? Somebody could say, well, tell us this story, and I can do the whole thing.
I would venture a guess that part of that's because you've done it so many times, and it's like me. I could get up and talk about anything that's involved in things that I've done, and quite frankly, I could talk about stuff I don't even know.
I can see that about you.
I could be full of stuff, but
could be you are. No, I mean, I didn't say. Oh, sorry.
That was my Mr. Bill's face. You remember the old Saturday Night Live skit?
Mr. Bill.
No!
I meant that in the best possible way.
Bless my heart. But part of that is your personality is that way, my personality is that way, and we have a lot of experience doing the things we do, so that's easy for us. But when someone's working with a brand new person, whether it's part of their sales team with Avon or Send Out Cards or Aflac or whoever in whatever industry people are watching this, sometimes if you're teaching a new salesperson, you do have to give them a little more structure. That's one of the reasons I used to tell people, and I even wrote it into the story when Kai was getting her training from Tammy, and where Kai felt like she rambled around and all that. And I had Tammy coach her, feel free to use index cards. and that keeps
Oh,
your point.
yeah.
And just tell people up front, you guys don't mind if I use these cards, do you? I want to make sure I get everything in, and I don't want to ramble or whatever. I don't remember exactly how I worded it in the storyline. But the truth is, when you do that, the people you're presenting with or you're having a sales conversation with, they start rooting for you. It makes you more authentic. They're pulling for you, kid. I mean, that's really what it amounts to.
Now that you said that part of it, I remember what we were talking about at the 1 o'clock was that one of the ladies that attended the training, she said she was doing practice lives and not actually going live. And I said to her, in my experience so far, the audience is really forgiving and they actually want to see you pretty raw, pretty just everybody says it's authentic, but I have a hard time with that word. Anyway, I just
It's pronounced authentic.
authentic. Why? What did I say? I didn't say.
Well, you said you have a hard time with that word. I was just going to
I
help you.
don't
That's
mean.
all.
No, if people
You're
say
pretty
that to
speaking
me,
of
and I
horses.
go, you
Rear.
are. No, okay. So that my hang up on that is that people say that about me to me all the time, and I don't understand the difference. I've never tried to be somebody else, so maybe that's why. But I don't understand. I'm not trying to be authentic. I don't know. I don't understand what it means, I guess.
Being authentic to me means that you're letting your guard down enough that people feel like they see the real you rather than you trying to be a little bit too polished or a little bit
Oh,
too
okay. Okay.
and when you're naturally you, which is what you are pretty much 24/7, I'm assuming, because it's what you're around me, then it's you are being authentic, and whether you like the word or not, you're good at it, and people do respond well to that.
Well, I guess it's because to me, like, I've changed since I've known you. And before that, of course, I've changed as a person many times, many times.
You're not
And
talking
then
about your clothes, you're talking about in general, right?
in general, in general. So to me, when you're saying you're you at that moment, you're the real you at that moment, because I'm different today than I was last April at this time. So to me,
Okay.
it keeps an evolving thing. So yeah, I just
And,
it's a concept that's escaping me somehow.
Jeff Foxworthy used to talk about the definition of redneck was a glorious absence of sophistication. Authenticity is a glorious absence of pretentiousness. You're not trying to be something, you're just being you. And even if that evolves and changes, which is what you just said, it's okay.
It's
It's
still
just
you.
still being you. And that's what you do. Scott put in the comments that one roofing company did that to him last week and didn't get the job. I'm assuming you're talking about where they just kept talking about how good they were, Scott, and they
No,
didn't
they had a
ask you.
polished presentation, they were reading it because 'cause I've talked to Scott about that already. So, they were too regimented about their presentation, he could tell that they were reading it really.
Yeah. If
So
they'll if they had asked Scott what he was looking for and what the most important part and talked to Scott about what he really wanted out of a roofing thing, then they probably would have gotten the job if they had said, okay, well, here's what we can do. I think it matches what you want. That's what I never had to close. Well, I say never. I almost never had to close a new account with Aflac because I would ask the questions. They would tell me the answers they needed to hear. And I would say, well, I got some good news for you. I wasn't sure this was going to be the truth. I wasn't sure we were going to be a good fit when we walked in the door, but you said you wanted A because you wanted to do this. We can do A with this that gives you the ability to do what you wanted to do. And then I would do B and C. And then I would say, that's pretty awesome. I said, do you see any reason we shouldn't move forward with this? They'd say, makes sense to me. I want to do that. I had a high closing ratio, but that's because. Scott.
he was pissed the guy wasted his time.
Now, Scott, we say urinate. We don't say.
Yeah, when you sign up, what we used to have to do in person, sign up a new recruit for the team.
Right.
And matter of fact, we're going to transition into that next because that's the topic we're talking about. That's right. I usually didn't. I just assumed that they wanted to do it because I screened people before I met with them, so I didn't have to close when I was out there. I just would start filling out the paper. I don't know, and people thought that was funny, but the other thing is that's where we got the miniskirt rule from because I've painfully sat there trying to help another leader sign somebody up, including my mother. And they just when we got back in the car, I'm like, "Ma, you didn't notice an hour and a half ago that you lost that lady. That lady was not listening to you for the last hour and something. Her eyes were literally back in her head, and it's so funny." And I said, "Ma, you gotta treat it like your miniskirt."
And then your
But
mom
yeah.
put on a miniskirt for the next meeting. Everything was just fine. It was fine.
I don't think my
Um,
mother's ever worn me either.
well, what happens though when people aren't sure of what they're doing, they don't feel comfortable. They're learning. They're at that
Oh, they
awkward
go
stage
on
of the
because of
learning
that?
process.
Over
Then they can't listen or they can't read the signals of their prospect because they're so focused on, oh gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. I got to get
Oh,
this
what
right.
they're saying. Yeah, that makes sense.
Once
So
they get
now
confidence, then they can focus on their client better.
Scott said, "I did a Wilber." He uses my name as a verb and said, this is the intended result. He shared the mini skirt and the wood stove rule this week. That's awesome.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
posted about that. I thought that was pretty cool myself.
Yeah, he's always, out there plugging for us, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So what we wanted to talk about this week, actually, you brought it up, which is awesome. What happened that, I'll ask you because usually something happened that made me think of the topic. So what happened in your life that this came up?
Probably burped or something. Now, I have no idea how I came up with it this week. I was probably sitting there at lunch going, "Oh, maybe we should talk about whether they accept a
Oh, you
promotion or
were
not."
wrong. You're so wrong. Usually something happens to me is how I come up with it. But anyway, so what you want to talk about was when you know as a salesperson when is a good time to start building a team.
Right.
Have I got that correct?
I think so. Whether, yeah, because the premise behind my question to you with the topic, it varies based on industry. Like with Aflac, we didn't really want new agents building a team yet. It wasn't a multi-level. It wasn't a direct sales organization, even though we were in our own version of direct sales. It was we certainly encourage them to nominate people, but then someone else would recruit them and work with them, and that person would get a bonus based on their production. But it was when they stepped into that role as a district sales coordinator that they began to have more responsibilities about building a team, and a regional sales coordinator and the district worked together. And a lot of people with Aflac they would get offered the promotion, but they wouldn't accept it because that wasn't the right fit for them. They said, "Yeah, I don't want to have a quota. I don't want to have to deal with somebody telling me I need to turn in a form. I don't have to deal with that." And I think that was fine. I had an opportunity earlier. Well, in my tenure with Aflac, I got offered a territory director's position once, and that would have been a corporate vice president and salary and bonuses and stock, but two problems with it. Problem number one,
The boss, you had a boss.
yeah, I would have more of a boss than what the territory director thought at the time. And I'm much better at shaving the boss's face than kissing the boss's ass. We've discussed this before. And but the second issue with it was that I would have had to move to Chicago.
Mm,
And I love Chicago. I love people that are from Chicago. It just wasn't where I wanted to live. It was too far away from Laurie's parents. It was too far away from my children, and it's cold.
it's
Like
cold.
Ware, New Hampshire. It's
Yes,
cold.
it's colder than where because it's right off the lakes.
It is. It is.
Yeah,
I,
so, what I think is different and I almost feel bad that I didn't say something when we were doing the book because it is what you wrote in the book is not how I feel about it, but the reason I didn't try to get you to put in the way I do it is because the way I think about it is different than most people that I think in this industry. Most people agree with you that they should wait and get more comfortable and be established a little bit. Kai waited, what was it, a year or not quite
it was during the first year when she
during the
was.
first year?
Yeah, it wasn't a whole year, but it was during that first year.
Yeah. And I think it would be different in direct sales anyway, or multi-level marketing, however you want to do it, than it is in insurance because we're, to me, how I present it in my group is that the opportunity is one of the products that we sell.
Right.
When you're out talking to people just in general, if you leave out that product, there's going to be some people you leave standing there because they didn't actually want anything. What they wanted was the opportunity to earn some money. So from the get-go, we all say the opportunity is one of the products that we sell.
Right. And that's pretty common. When I was in a multi-level business back in the 80s, same thing. You came on board planning to recruit a team.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's that way in all direct sales organizations. This is just one of those areas where I kind of slid in some of my training, some of your training together, because I did that. There was one of the things that you had said, and I'm trying to think of how we worded it in the book, but it was basically along the idea of you were selling a product before, but now you're selling the opportunity, because that's a similar mindset for both of us anyway. But yeah, and I don't think it's a bad thing that it's different, because it was two different vehicles. Like in the insurance
Right.
industry with Aflac, I could have started recruiting from the beginning. They certainly wouldn't have discouraged that, and I had the skill set to build a team. I came on when I came to Aflac. I already had a skill set that was conducive to being good at it, and so they would have certainly not minded that. But I just, in the storyline, but one of the reasons I did it in the story the way I did it is because Kai had been going through so much. I just wanted to give her a little breathing room before she did that. That's really what it
Well,
wanted to do.
and two, I don't think that's what the way you wrote it is more normal to how it happens in real life, I think. And it probably is a better plan, because I do have people that come on and recruit right away, and then they don't last as a seller because they can't get their feet going in the sales part. And you have to, within most network marketing companies, is a sales requirement. So if you can't do the requirement, you can't have a team anyway.
Right.
But yeah, that's so it depends. So your question is, when do you get in? And it's
going to vary based on the vehicle you're with, I'm sure, right?
yeah, and your comfortableness of helping the person, I guess.
Right. Part of the reason I did that in the storyline too is I really wanted to work in Michaela's struggle. You know how we had her somewhere around chapter 8, we had her struggling with school, and she was just really. I needed that poignant moment for Michaela and Kai to draw that into each other, and it made more sense on that, and it set up the rest of the story about the partnership and how before Kai accepted the promotion, she had talked to her business partner, Michaela. It was just about that mother-daughter relationship. It was part of working the whole thing together. But
I like that on Bob's call this week too, is that in my breakout room, they're like, why don't we have you've heard of Scholastic books? You've got kids, right? Right. I don't know how
I
much
was a kid at one point.
Yeah, you
We had
what?
Scholastic books back in the 60s and 70s
Oh,
too.
they did?
Yeah.
Oh, I just so you were a kid at one point.
I was. I'm not sure that I'm not still, but I was a kid at one point.
No, you are still, I'm sure. Yeah. Okay. So, anyway, in my breakout room, they're like, "Why don't you guys do a book for like along the lines of Scholastic for kids based on Michaela's point of view from the story?"
That's not a bad idea. My plate's pretty full right now, but it's not a bad
Well, I
idea.
don't mean right away. This is just in the ballpark. So, yeah. So
That's
we're
one
gonna,
of
yeah.
the things that I want to do too is, how I wrote that into the storyline where Kai's reading to Michaela, and the title of the book is "Under a Tree Filled with Birds and Other Places You
Oh,
Should Never Stand."
yeah, that's right. We're
I
gonna do
need to
that
write that
too.
one too.
Yeah, you were gonna do that one too. Yeah. I don't think I mean, the way to make this project last longer is to space it out and do those other things eventually
Right.
when you have more time, right? So, because believe me, doing the view from the top, I didn't plan on doing 3 books. That was a 1-book thing, and then I was able to get the many, and then people were like, "Can I be in the next one?" And I went, "Next one." I didn't even think about a next one.
Was that title or that idea original to you? Because when I was in the Amway business back in the 80s, we had books, and I don't remember. It seemed like they called them. They may have called them that, or maybe they called them Profiles of Success. I don't remember. But it was the same idea. It had
It
pictures
was,
and
yeah.
people's stories and all that, and we would carry around so people at meetings could read that. Look through the books.
Yeah. It was, we went with a publisher, and what was funny? What did you say?
I was doing this, and I went.
Oh. No, we went with a publisher, but that was the origin story for that book, which you've heard before, but I'll tell you anyway, is I sat here for years thinking, hey, I've seen other companies do that where they had, and it might have even been Amway, where they had the top people in a book and everything. And I thought, Avon ought to do that. And I'm like, well, why don't they? They have us do other stuff and everything. And I kept thinking, Avon should. And then I realized corporate wasn't ever going to do something like that. And I thought,
Right.
somebody really ought to do that. And it really took a long time for me to understand that I was somebody.
I've been telling you that for years. You're somebody.
But for some reason, as soon as I thought that thought went across my head, I thought, not only am I somebody, but I'm probably one of the few people that have enough connections to get this done, because I knew a publisher, I knew had a personal relationship with enough of the senior executive unit leaders, the reps, to get 64 of them to do it.
Pretty awesome.
Right. So why I didn't think of me to begin with, I'm not sure.
What year did you first do that? Do you remember?
Oh, that I don't know. It had to be.
Was it before you could get electronic files and people could email you their pictures and all that, or was it after so they could submit their stuff?
It was after that, and it wasn't. I didn't do the project so the lady that put it together, I was the one that knew everybody and put it together that way, but I wasn't the one that did the work on it. There was an editor and all that stuff. So what you did, you paid a fee to be in it, the compilation book, and then you got a certain number of books for that. And if you sold the ones you got, you paid your fee back.
Right.
But I went with that rather than a lot of people were trying to do it themselves, and I'm like, oh no, I do not have that skill set to do that. So there was an editor that went through it all. So everybody submitted all their stuff directly to them. I didn't see any of it.
That's cool.
And I was just another person. The only thing that I got, which was awesome, by the way, I'm the only one that's in all 3 books. So the first book, I have a chapter like everybody else. The second book, I think I wrote the forward or something. And the third one, I did something like that too.
Right.
Yeah. So
you I thought you may have actually put it together yourself too, because like with the graphics you do for our stuff. And by the way, thank you again for doing one for me for the Unexpected Tour Guide.
Oh, sure.
But everybody that you watch the video, you'll we said the lady with the blue hair won the silver medal, as you all know about, with the Axiom Business Book Awards, and that's awesome. But it's a big deal, so we're kind of glad. But the graphic you made about that was gorgeous.
Oh,
it was really good work. And then when you maybe went for the tour guide,
anytime you want to say that about my graphics, please.
Your graphics are gorgeous.
and it's not the only.
Sounds worse than it really means.
There's lots of parts of me that are gorgeous.
I don't want to hear this stuff.
Okay. Oh, look, they're red, a little red. See, mission accomplished. Okay, so no, Alex gives me a hard time because he says my art sucks because he's the big art guy, right? So he always says, well, I wouldn't have done this or I wouldn't have done that. And on that particular graphic, he said what he didn't like the fact that our backgrounds on our headshots were different. He thought I should have gone to the work to make my background and your background look the same. And I thought they were the same enough. It wasn't good enough. I
would have never thought anything about it, and I probably I could go look at it right now and still not catch it, I guess. But
right, because I wasn't looking at that because that didn't seem like something I wanted to bother to change because we didn't even take them anywhere near the same time or anything.
Mine's older than that anyway. Mine, I have brown hair. I'll have again next week. I think I'm going to go ahead and do the Just for Men thing. Get a little brown going. It's a little wet tonight, so it looks a little darker than normal anyway. I've got some pictures. There's one with me and Jude that I swear it looks like my hair is completely white. And the day that I was recording in the recording studio, it looked like my hair was completely white. And I thought, I look like Santa Claus here.
Oh, so. Did you hear me tell you about that guy that got his phone out unsolicited and said to me, do you know there's a lot of women rocking white hair? And I thought, but I'm going to be rocking blue hair. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. I think there was a point where I thought, oh my God, he's delusional. He's actually saying that like a tip. Like he thinks I'm going.
How long did it take them to get his phone out of his after he said that.
I'm not sure because he was already outside the door by then.
Good surgeons can get that back out.
Sorry, you have to go. Bye. Yeah. Oh, Scott says I would have loved to be a fly on the wall. Yeah, it didn't go well. I was surprised. Why would anyway? He didn't know me that well. That's probably why. But anyway, so we got stuff. I got stuff coming up. If you don't mind me saying,
please, yes, please, because I'm trying to promote the stuff you're going to, and I'm so proud of you for doing these things, Lisa. You're doing a great job on them, and every time you do this stuff like that, this book is going to over decades. I think just keep getting bigger and bigger, just because it's got such a good storyline and the principles are strong, and you're doing a great job. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. Yay. You can call and tell me that anytime too.
Okay. I have to say, you're doing a great job and your graphics are gorgeous.
And I'll say, and that's not all. Okay. Okay. So what I got coming up. Okay. I'm going to put the thing out about the challenge for the Amazon review. So we're still trying to get over 100. I still want to show that lady. She's full of it. So look for that. Now, tomorrow night, I'm going to be at 6:00 Eastern time. I'm going to be on the DOM, the Direct Sales DOM show. So it's going to be 20 minutes of me teaching and 20 minutes of them interacting with me like an interview kind of thing. And I do not know what my 20 minutes are going to be. No, they said they want my top 3 rules. So we were talking about that at 1. I was thinking the success rule, because that's right. You can be successful in anything if enough people know what you do. And then the wood stove rule. Yeah. And then my signature rule.
Yeah, I was going to say with Jenny's podcast, you got to throw in the naughty rule because Jenny's podcast.
Yeah.
I hope everybody who's watching. I hope you guys have checked out Jenny's podcast. Lisa and I were on it one time, and she's she's colorful and she's popular as all get out. So
well, and I think that's why it's the shock factor, and it's awesome. Yeah. She's making that work. So anyway, there's a whole bunch of speakers on there. It's free to listen if you listen to it live. You still can sign up. The link is in the group and on my personal wall. Right. The other thing is on the
By the way, I even blush when I share her stuff online. I blush when I do it. I'm kidding. I don't really.
Yeah, making you blush is what we all live for, really. Okay, so I think it's April 5th, right, is the other one. That is a Zoom call, and that is also a presentation that you can sign up for, and I believe that is also free.
Right. So someone asked if it was 5 p.m. Eastern time. That is correct, right?
No, it's 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central.
Okay.
Right?
For tomorrow? I don't know.
Tomorrow. I'm supposed to know, but
I've registered for it, but I'll get the email to remind me. So
I'm pretty sure it's 5 p.m. Central, which makes it 6 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm on at 6. I better be right because I'm going to show up when
if you're an hour late, it won't be good. You're the last one on Friday.
That would be. Oh, am I the last one?
I looked at the lineup. You're the last one on Friday.
Oh, and by the way, thank you, my army of helpers, because I turned all my stuff in really, really late, which was Saturday. And even with the whole thing with the walk of shame on Monday, don't ask. Even with that all going on, I was supposed to put the announcement for the direct sales DOM thing that's tomorrow night. I was supposed to put that out last Thursday. Didn't get it out till Saturday, and still, we as a team got the most registrations of any of the other speakers, and we got them within 24 hours. We were up to 50 something. I haven't seen what happened at the end, but we were the most by far, and that's because of you guys, the Army. So thank you, Army. You saved me again.
It's a good Army. It's a good Army. And also, don't forget, April the 6th is when John David Mann and Anna Gabriel Mann will be joining us on the show. And then Jenny Bellinger is actually going to join us too later in the month. And the date slipping, but it's like 2 weeks after John and Anna, I think, if I remember correctly.
Should we both wear corsets or Jenny?
I would look terrible in a corset.
I meant her and I.
I would need one of those leather vests. No shirt. I'm not going to do that.
I meant her and I, not you.
I am not gonna. Oh, you're talking about you. Oh, I thought you were talking about you should we wear corsets? I thought you were talking to me.
Yeah,
I
you
need a
and I should wear
bustier.
corsets. Hey, I can do that too.
No, that's just wrong.
We are both
Uh,
wrong. You're
we-
wrong,
I
mister.
think we need to probably plan on doing some more guests. I think this crowd would enjoy having some guests on with us too. So
Yeah, that'd be fun.
we'll do
Well,
that.
let's see how it goes with John and Anna because they may be too shocked. I don't think we could shock Jenny, but
I was thinking about inviting Bob, and Bob would do. He's our friend. He would do it. I didn't know if this was something he would want to do with a live show like this. So
oh, I don't know.
I think I think our crowd would really enjoy him.
Yeah, yeah. You could do your fanboy thing. We all enjoy that. We like your fanboy thing.
Yeah, but you're just glad your graphics are prettier than Bob's, aren't you? All right, we gotta get out of here. It's late.
Feel free to call me with words of encouragement all week.
I'll start texting you while you're doing the show tomorrow. I'll start texting you words of encouragement as you're doing your show tomorrow.
Except everybody, he'll put exactly that, words of encouragement.
That's true. Hey,
Yeah.
So one time someone called me a dumb.
Uh-oh.
I don't like to say it on the show. All right. And I said, no, I mean, I'm not a dumb one. I'm a smart ass. I got a degree. All right, we got to get out of here.
Okay, we're gonna go, but it has to make an appearance because I said squirrel. So they're okay. Okay. So thank you, everybody. Love you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.